Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanantari Jamuna Tira Vanantari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Gaura Pimanandi. Jai Mishipad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Sirabai Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Skandi Biti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada ki Namacharya Sri Laharidas Thakur ki Samavata Bhakti Vrinda ki Harinam Sankirtan ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Dainitai Gold Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Guru. All glories to Sri Prabhupada ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabarutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Scha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Praya Shabadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttamasloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swaschayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantara, as the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudemo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyay Namaha. Om Sarabhyay Namaha. Namaha. Mukham karoti vachalam pangom langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our morning discourse on Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading from canto number 2, chapter number 1, which is titled The First Step in God Realization. And yesterday we read 6, so today we are reading 7. Yes. Prayena Munayo Rajan Nivritta Vidhi Sedataha Shedataha Nairgunya Sta Ramante Sma Gunanukatane Harehe Prayena munayo rajan Divritta vidhi shedataha Nargunyasta ramante sma Gunanu kathane harehe Prayena munayo rajan Divritta vidhi shedataha Nargunyasta ramante sma Gunanu kathane harehe Prayena munayo rajan Nivritta vidhi shedataha Nargunyasta ramante sma Gunanu kathane harehe Prayena munayo rajan Nivritta vidhi shedataha 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 Nargunyasta ramante sma Gunanu kathane harehe Prayena Oh, sorry. Prayena munayo rajan Divritta vidya shedataha Staramante sma Gunanu kathane harehe Prayena Mainly Munaya all sages Rajan O king Nivrittaha above Vidhi regulative principles Shedataha from restrictions Nargunyastaha transcendently situated Ramante take pleasure in Sma distinctly Guna Anukatane describing the glories Harehe of the Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. Kindly repeat after me. O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. Purport. The topmost transcendentalist. Now it's Sravanam. I'm doing the Kirtanam, you're doing the Shonam. The topmost transcendentalist is a liberated soul and is therefore not within the purview of the regulative principles. A neophyte who is intended to be promoted to the spiritual plane is guided by the spiritual master under regulative principles. He may be compared to a patient who is treated by various restrictions under medical jurisdiction. Generally, liberated souls also pleasure in describing the transcendental activities. As mentioned above, since Narayana, Hari, the personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation, his form and attributes are not material. The topmost transcendentalists, or the liberated souls, realize him by advanced experience of transcendental knowledge. And therefore, they take pleasure in the discussion of the transcendental qualities of the Lord's pastimes. In the Bhagavad Gita 4:9, the personality of Godhead declares that his appearance and activities are all divyam, or transcendental. The common man who is under the spell of material energy takes it for granted that the Lord is like one of us, and therefore he refuses to accept the transcendental nature of the Lord's form, name, etc. The topmost transcendentalist is not interested in anything material, and his taking interest in the matter of the Lord's activities is definite proof that the Lord is not like one of us in the material world. In the Vedic literatures also, it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is one, but that he is engaged in his transcendental pastimes in the company of his unalloyed devotees, and that simultaneously he is present as the Supersoul, an expansion of Baladev in the heart of all living entities. Therefore, the highest perfection of transcendental realization is to take pleasure in hearing and describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and not in merging into his impersonal Brahman existence, for which the impersonalist, monist, aspires. Real transcendental pleasure is realized in the glorification of the transcendental Lord, and not in the feeling of being situated in his impersonal feature. But there are also others who are not the topmost transcendentalists, but are in a lower status, and who do not take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities of the Lord. Rather, they discuss such activities with the aim of merging into his existence. End of the purport. Translation again. O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. So this is Shukadeva Goswami is speaking. The subject matter is specifically in reference to different categories or different levels or different types of transcendentalists. What is being pointed out is difference, very unique difference, very specific difference in terms of the topmost transcendentalists derive a great pleasure in describing the personal attributes, the personal form. When we accept and understand this whole theory, not a theory, this whole philosophy that the Lord is a personality and He takes on so many different forms. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam, Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita is, whole Brahma Samhita actually is glorifying the Lord and His abode, Chintamani Dham, the spiritual world, where everything is very, very different than what we experience or see here in the material world. So the Lord exists in many different forms, takes on so many different incarnations, performs so many different pastimes. His pastimes are described as being Nitya Lila, eternal pastimes, existing and at different times manifest here in the material world. So these are the two main, we could say, categories of transcendentalists. Those who have yet to accept or understand the personal features of the absolute truth. The whole Bhagavatam in the beginning, first canto, describes in many verses, Vedanti tat tattva vidam tattvam yaj jnanam advayam brahmiti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabjate. Those who are actually knowing, those who are in knowledge, the actual topmost transcendentalists, they know the supreme absolute truth called tattva. Tattva darshan, tattva darshini. In the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna explains the process one needs to follow to actually come to that most darshan of the absolute truth. Tad vidi pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya uparekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. So the goal of life actually is to come to that highest platform of transcendental realization. That is what is called Divya Gyan, Dibya Gyan, realizing the topmost feature of the absolute truth. So that is also described the difference between what kind of pleasure. Pleasure is in Sanskrit is Ananda, isn't it? Krishna, he is Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha. He is Ananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form. So the topmost Ananda, the highest transcendental pleasure and happiness that one can experience is when one comes to that realization of the personal form of the Lord. It's just like we are attracted in the material world to other living entities, especially people who are having all kinds of activities, attractive activities, or engaged in different ways that are unique. We're attracted to things that are beautiful. The Lord is that personality who has all of these attributes in full. So experience Ananda, but it's a different type of Ananda. It is described as Brahmananda. Brahmananda, and those who are fortunate to know about the personal aspect of the Lord, which is actually rare. Majority of transcendentalists actually don't come to that platform. Just like the majority of Brahmanas are also not having that understanding or that realization that God is actually a person. It's actually very rare. That's also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanam ante, after many, many lifetimes. Jnanavam mam prapadite vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudolabha. Not only durlabha, but sudolabha. Very, very rare. So the impersonalists, they can only come to the level of Brahmananda. Brahmananda, the Ananda of Man. Knowing that we are eternal. But only those who are knowing about then Prabhupada mentions impersonalists, but those who are yogis, they can come to the level of actually seeing or understanding, realizing the Lord within the heart. So Prabhupada explains how different transcendentalists realize this Satchit Ananda, fear the Lord. Sat means eternal. The impersonalists, they have that understanding. And further understanding of the Lord within the heart are yogis. They can come to that level, but only those who are devotees, they have access to this level of Ananda. That is called Premananda. Brahmananda is very different from Premananda. They're both in the category of Ananda, but in the Bhagavatam it describes that the Premananda is like compared to the ocean as opposed to the amount of water that you find in the hoof print of a calf. That is such a vast difference. And that Premananda is also called, of course, Nityananda, because it is eternal, Nityananda. Whereas Brahmananda is not eternal. That's also to be noted. Brahmananda, because those who can rise to that platform, they can merge into the Brahmajyoti, but because there is no Vritti, then one falls down actually from that position. And how to attain or how to come to that platform of Premananda, there's another nice term that is given through actually the process of seva. Seva. And those who actually are properly situated or properly absorbed in seva, then they can actually, they're also described as attaining Sevananda. Sevananda, Premananda are used to describe those who have the realization of the absolute truth. We can understand a little bit, just like in the material world, all of us by nature, we like to make friendship with people. I mean, it's a basic fundamental need that we all have. People who don't have friends in the material world are very sad. I mean, some are so sad that they commit suicide. You know, they leave a note, I don't have any friends. No one likes me or no one loves me. Friendship is the basic, we could say, common denominator for all living entities. I mean, we experience in the material world what is described as the perverted reflection of what is there actually in its original form in the spiritual world, isn't it? Friendship. Actually, the different relationships that we can experience and that we all can experience and that we seek to experience, isn't it? People get married. People get married to experience relationship, a particular kind of relationship. There are different, it's a whole science, and the science of rasa actually. The science of rasa, which is nicely described in the Nectar of Devotion, is giving very much in detail the kind of ananda, pleasure, happiness, satisfaction, because that is described. Prabhupada one time in a lecture was telling that happiness is the birthright of all living entities. Birthright means it is, we're born. We are, it's our nature, our nature to be happy. Just like it is, we are more happy when we are healthy. When we're sick, our consciousness goes down, if we're not devotees, especially. For a devotee, we can kind of like learn to transcend being not healthy. But most people who are not having transcendental knowledge, they're always up and down. If they're healthy, they're happy. If there is sun on the sky, they're happy. If it's cloudy, they're constantly changing. So we are all pleasure-seeking living entities because we are created like this. We are created, in the Bible it says, at the image of God. God is a person, we are also a person. God is by nature full of ananda, full of pleasure, full of happiness. By nature, we are also seeking that happiness. But what we don't know, the vast majority of living entities in the material world don't know where to find that pleasure, because we're not satisfied with pleasure only for a short time, isn't it? And we cannot, any activity, Prabhupada was giving a lecture, was explaining nicely how, you know, if somebody gives you rasgulla, wow, you know, because you don't get rasgullas every day. So rasgulla is very tasty. Everyone knows rasgulla in ISKCON. And so Prabhupada said, if I give you 2 rasgullas, you'll be very happy. If I give you 3, you'll be happy. But maybe after 4 or 5, then okay, you know, maybe tomorrow. But not now. We have a limit. We have a limit in terms of how much of material happiness, because our hankering is for continued, non-stop happiness. But that's not available in the material world, you know. Any kind of happiness in the material world can never satisfy us because it's not permanent. And also the kind of happiness that, this kind of so-called material happiness, it is entangling. It is entangling because it is keeping us away from our original state, our original condition, which is on the transcendental platform. That's why Prabhupada here is quoting the verse, Janma karma same divyam, transcendental. Krishna's janma, birth, karma, activities, they are all divyam, because Krishna, when he performs his pastimes in the material world, he performs those pastimes in his eternal, transcendental body. Krishna's body. Our body also is divyam, transcendental. We have transcendental senses, but presently they are not functioning, not awakened, in a dormant condition. So there's a whole process by which we can gradually awaken the dormant condition, our natural, eternal, dormant condition, which is based on seva. And that is, of course, mentioned again and again in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That process actually begins by hearing, by hearing, and also by serving. By hearing, we will come to understand that what is the process by which to awaken. So this is being pointed out here by Shukadeva Goswami, that the greatest of all transcendentalists, they take immense pleasure and satisfaction in remembering and in discussing and in describing the transcendental activities of the Lord, the transcendental form of the Lord, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, and all things, even material things, when connected with the Lord, that also becomes a source of transcendental satisfaction, transcendental pleasure. So in this way, even though we are living in a world of misery, material world is a world of misery, isn't it? And we have to be convinced. Actually, it should not be too difficult to convince ourselves that the material world is a place of misery, wherein there is repeated birth and death. Birth and death, and in between, old age and disease. We're trapped. We're completely trapped. So the whole idea is learning how not to accept another material body. It's a big science. Most people don't even think about it, or don't even know that it's possible. So Krishna consciousness is that process whereby we learn how to put a final end, or bring a final solution, as Prabhupada would nicely put. How to bring a final solution to our miserable condition, and that is by cultivating this knowledge, by engaging in our real, natural, eternal activities of devotional service, and awakening our consciousness to the higher realm, or the higher reality, which means ultimately to Krishna and the spiritual world. And everyone in the spiritual world is fully, completely absorbed, engaged in activities of devotional service for the pleasure and the satisfaction of Krishna. So that is being pointed out here. We are in the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us that simple and easy process, although the topmost of fallen souls appear in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the most degraded, most difficult, most challenging age. But Lord Chaitanya is giving the topmost knowledge and topmost process, and he has himself and all those who follow actually in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are examples of what is being described here, and this is open to all of us. There's discussion here about very involved subject matter, which is the subject matter of the Nectar Devotion. We talked about that a little bit some few days back, about Vaidhi Bhakti. Bhakti is a very involved and very profound science. Vaidhi Bhakti, here it mentions actually how one needs to become situated above the rules and regulations. That doesn't mean we abandon rules and regulations, but Vaidhi Bhakti means actually especially following rules and regulations, even without any real sentiment or real bhava. But the idea is that one needs to come at some particular point to the higher level, above Vaidhi Bhakti. What are the three levels described by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar Devotion? There are three distinct levels. One is called, the first one is sadhana, isn't it? Sadhana Bhakti, which actually is referring to rules and regulations. And then the other two distinct above sadhana is? Huh? No. They're very interesting and very important to understand, yeah. And I have someone who can give some reference here. There is sadhana bhakti, referred to as Vaidhi Bhakti, which has 2 levels. Then above that there is Bhava Bhakti. And then above Prema Bhakti, isn't it? So Prema Bhakti is only available to the personalists. Mayavadis, impersonalists cannot attain Prema Bhakti.
And Bhava Bhakti? Bhava is also related to devotee?
Yes, because Bhava is preliminary to Prema, isn't it? So, so before that, there are these 2 levels of Vaidhi and Raganuga. Raganuga Bhakti is below the level of Bhavas, but of course we need to come to that platform, which is above the what is it? Vaidhi Bhakti brings us to the level of from Shraddha to Nistha. Nistha is that level where one becomes actually firmly established in the mode of goodness. And to be firmly established in the mode of goodness, one needs to develop these, it's referred to as the 4 pillars of Dharma. What are the 4 pillars of Dharma?
Cleanliness, austerity.
In Sanskrit, sir. But anyways, you got it right. Cleanliness, austerity, 50%. Huh? Truthfulness, yes.
And mercy.
Yes. Satyam, daya, tapa, socham. Satyam, truthfulness. Daya, mercy, mercifulness. Tapa, austerity. And then socham, cleanliness. And that is only possible when one actually, that's why these 4 rules and regulations are there, to come to that platform. So this, in other words, the 4 rules and regulations are not, they're like the beginning, we could say. They're like the foundation of what is meant to come afterwards. And then we develop ruchi, taste for performing devotional activities, taste for chanting the holy name. So this becomes more natural, more spontaneous. So this, the whole Bhagavatam, of course, and our Vaishnava acharyas, they deal with these subject matters, and this is what Shukadeva Goswami is referring to or beginning to describe here. The position of the topmost transcendentalists, and of course the word Ramante, well, there's nice verses regarding, means pleasure, taking pleasure, actual pleasure, transcendental pleasure, eternal pleasure. So these are a few things that are mentioned here. I'll read the verse again, if there's any comment or discussion. We have our second microphone, or not microphone, but whatever. Yeah. Translation is as follows. O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions. So that means who are above sadhana bhakti, who are above Vaidhi bhakti. They take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. So that is what Lord Chaitanya, that's what he demonstrated, isn't it? In his last years in Jagannath Puri, especially the last 12 years, he was fully, completely, disconnected from the material world. So that's why Prabhupada says we cannot imitate like that. But but we should know that this is the topmost platform and level, and even though we cannot imitate personalities like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur, we should give every day some time for hearing subject matters that will gradually purify our consciousness so that we can more and more develop an attraction. Spiritual life actually means to develop an attraction to the all-attractive. Krishna is the all-attractive. The very word Krishna means all-attractive. So there's so many different aspects. Srila Prabhupada explains actually that in any one of the different, it's not only in hearing. Hearing is, of course, the most important. But in any one of the activities of devotional service, isn't it? 9 main activities: Sarvanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam. Any one of those, we can become perfected as devotees. Yes. So comments, questions? Yes, Mike, Mr.
One comment and one question.
Yes.
So the text of today, the verse today, it seems to answer the question, I think, couple of classes earlier, the question why Sukadeva Goswami in particular was selected to speak Bhagavatam when
Yes.
personalities like Narada and Vyas were present. So at least externally, Vyasa and Narada were following the rules and regulations,
Yes.
the restrictions, but Sukadeva Goswami was completely transcendental, so the text directly answers that particular question that was there a few classes ago.
Yes.
The question that I had, Maharaj, is that in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, generally liberated souls also take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities. So the word also suggests that there's something else. And what is that something else is not clear to me. So I thought I'll ask.
Yeah, when I was reading it, I was also. That's in the.
I think it's the 4th line or something in the beginning. Generally, the liberated souls also take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities.
Yeah, right. Generally. We have to look at whenever in the line previous to that, Prabhupada is making the comparison of a patient, right? Someone who is in a disease condition is treated by following he's restricted. That means he has to follow different rules and regulations. So that means that actually when a diseased person follows such rules and regulations, then he becomes healthy and performs all the activities of a healthy person. So one way to look at or to understand the word also is that liberated souls also, because they are not diseased, they are also in that non-disease condition. They take pleasure in specifically or especially describing, but that's not the only thing that they do.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, liberated souls perform all kinds of other activities, and as we know, as explained by Srila Prabhupada also, the word also comes in often. Liberated souls will sometimes, they are described as down from that
Madhyam.
platform for preaching activities, which is also, this is also interesting. Prabhupada also mentions how this is a source of great transcendental pleasure as well.
Right.
You know, some time back I was quoting one, or making reference to one purport wherein Srila Prabhupada explains the two ways and the two processes of actually experiencing this transcendental happiness. The one being what is described here in terms of the topmost transcendentalists who are fully liberated and who are described as, you know, Uttam Adhikari. They are constantly absorbed in remembering and thinking about and maybe describing and speaking about Krishna's pastimes, etc. And they derive, you know, that such personalities derive constant bliss, full satisfaction in those activities. There's another, so Prabhupada explains that those who are also engaged, they may not be situated on that level of Uttam Adhikari, but if they are fully absorbed in preaching activities, Prabhupada explains they can experience that same transcendental, yes. I should find that purport actually. It's in the Bhagavatam. I mean the Bhagavad Gita, one of the in other words, two ways. By being fully absorbed in our, because that's a form of seva, isn't it? Preaching, being absorbed in our respective duties or activities or service, and in that purport, Prabhupada was specifically referring to preaching activities actually. Because we know that the Lord, there are three reasons why He descends and appears in the material world. So one of them is to, of course, annihilate the miscreants. The other one is to actually give pleasure to His devotees, paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya chaduskitam, and then dharma samstapanarthaya, to reestablish the principles of dharma. And generally, to reestablish the principles of dharma, that is done through various preaching activities. So, also, I would say means, in addition to describing and feeling transcendental pleasure in speaking about and remembering the name, the form, the activities, the pastimes, etc. of the Lord, that they also engage in other activities. Yeah.
Maharaj, just a clarifying question, just to make sure I understood it right. That purport of Srila Prabhupada that you were quoting,
Yes.
the essence of that is that if someone is on the Madhyam platform,
Yes.
he cannot experience the bhajan or the absorption as a Uttam devotee would by simply engaging in bhajan. But if they are engaged or immersed fully in preaching activities, they can experience the highest level of transcendence,
Yes.
which is experienced while doing bhajan by the highest
Yes.
level of devotees. Is
Yes.
that
Yes.
the right understanding?
Yes, that is the right understanding, and that is why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and that may be a point of controversy, but he is our, Param Gurudev in terms of being the spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. And there are many, many references. It's, I would say, a main theme in the preaching activities promoted by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This was also explained by Srila Prabhupada in various places, and this is one reference I'm mentioning in terms of that particular purport, that through the process of Gosti Anandi, which is actually the preaching process, as opposed to Bhajan Anandi. Both are bona fide processes. But we can attain that same type of full satisfaction. In other words, it's not that somebody has to stop doing book distribution, or it's not that somebody has to stop serving the deities, as a pujari. It's not that somebody has to just go into in samadhi, or in a reclusive place to attain that perfection or that higher level of transcendental realization. Why? Because it is Krishna, isn't it? Krishna is the one who reveals Dibya Gyan. This transcendental knowledge is actually revealed. That verse is there. Evam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam. This is the level of vijnanam, which is given to us. We speak of mercy. We are aspiring, we are hankering, and we are needing also that mercy. That mercy is coming from Krishna. And that mercy will be given and can be given by Krishna anytime when he becomes pleased by our activities, by our mood, by our mentality, isn't it? So in other words, our sampradaya as given from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is especially focused and emphasizing the Gosti Anandi aspect. Understanding it and accepting also the Bhajan Anandi aspect, but establishing that we can become perfect, we can become self-realized through preaching activities.
Even if one's bhajan is not perfect, it is...
Well, that becomes one's bhajan.
That's right.
Isn't
right.
it? I mean, what is bhajan? Bhajan means to be absorbed. To be completely, and then the Lord reciprocates accordingly. So if one is fully absorbed in his service, then that's why, Daiva Varnashrama is connected with this whole concept.
Yes, because you have to engage people. It's not possible for most people to just sit. Right? They need some physical, practical engagement.
So that's why, anyway, this opens the doors to a number of things, actually, which cannot be so easily discussed. Number one, even individually, what to speak maybe in public as well. And it touches on some, there's some dangers actually in becoming, there's some danger in not properly or fully understanding the mood and mentality given by both Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and our own founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And I'll just close on one point here. generally, people who are very much absorbed or inclined for the bhajan anandi aspect, they tend to minimize or put aside or neglect or reject, and we could add some others. The whole varnashram
Right.
dimension, not knowing and not understanding that actually when that is taken up in a proper mood and mentality, that's why that term daiva is very, very important. Is without that word daiva, then we are missing out. We will tend to miss out on the fact that actually we can become fully absorbed in any of our services, because ultimately we have to serve in some way or other. So that means that anyone within any of these services and categories that are there within the system of Varnashrama, whether one is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, by becoming fully absorbed and cultivating this knowledge, Krishna being pleased within the heart, he will make because he's the one, even in, let's say, ideology or theology or philosophy, it is Krishna to ultimately bring us to the higher realms, will open the doors for the higher realms of transcendence to actually happen. It's an involved
Yes.
subject matter.
I mean, actually, a true bhajananandi would be so infused with the bhajan that he want to share with others. That should be the natural byproduct, right?
Prabhupada was right there,
Yeah.
isn't it? In Vrindavan. And he was totally, the perfectional, that's described in the Nectar of Instruction, right? What is the perfectional stage of life? Is to be on the banks of Radhakund and to fully absorb ourselves in meditation. And yes, but Prabhupada left that to bring that Radhakund
Everywhere.
to the whole world. Yeah. This is although it is rare to be born in a human form of life, it is even more rare to, in that human form of life, come in contact with devotees. And devotees, Vaishnavas, those who are following in the footsteps of the Goswamis of Vrindavan. Extremely rare. But this is what this what is where has been. This is the special feature of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why he's described as Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Pradayate. He's freely distributing, giving opportunity for anyone who pays the price. Here's, and the price is explained in our Goswami literatures. So one doesn't have to run and hide in a cave and become, one can be, proper experience. Samadhi means simply to be absorbed in our various services. I heard this one example with one very famous Bhagavat speaker was giving katha in some temple, not a ISKCON temple, well, somewhere. I think some story that happened a long time back. It could also be in our temple. And then he was, everyone was fully absorbed because he was a very good speaker. And there was one devotee, one person who was actually, looking after the temple, cleaning the temple and whatnot. For many years, he was serving there. And he was also listening sometimes, to what the speaker was telling. then the speaker he started speaking about very confidential subject matters, very elevated, and then all of a sudden the whole audience they heard a shout, "Stay back! Stay back!" And they couldn't figure out what was going on. And then this went on for some time, and then they came to know that this sweeper, cleaner, he was telling Krishna, "Stay on the altar, don't move." Krishna wanted to come closer to hear what the speaker was telling. In other words, someone doing even simple, ordinary seva, because of the consciousness that one is doing it, can have that kind of relationship to tell Krishna, like Mother Yashoda, "Hey, So this is there's a whole other subject matter we could discuss later on, but
Maharaj, that reference, if possible, that reference of purport.
Yeah, I'll find that purport.
Whenever you get a chance, yeah. No hurry, yeah.
Okay, you might have to remind me, but I'll try. Yeah.
Thank you, Guru.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Jai
Shri
Shri Prabhupada
Prabhupada ki Jai. His Holiness Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj ki Jai.
Yeah.